Get ready to dive deep into Buffalo's vibrant music scene because we're stepping inside the fabulous Flamingo Lounge for the 8th season of local music magic. In the Flamingo Lounge with Rockabilly Greg is more than just a podcast. It's a collection of stories that delves deep into the vibrant musical history of Buffalo and Western New York, creating a living archive where each story adds a unique thread to the overall narrative. This season, we're taking a deep dive into the heart of the music community. Join us for personal conversations with musicians and industry pros, where we celebrate the collective creativity that makes our favorite artists, venues, and events so special. But before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors, CatsLikeUs.com, Diamond Hawk Golf Course and Pub, and valued supporter Buffalo Ironworks for helping to keep the music alive. From scoring sci-fi films with blenders and hairdryers to shredding with the Hall of Fame jazz group Gamalon, guitarist Dave Schmeidler has spent a lifetime coloring outside the lines. A Kenmore native who cut his teeth alongside legends like Billy Sheehan and studied under icons like Joe Pass, Dave's career spans prog, Celtic, blues, and experimental rock. While his resume boasts award-winning chops and a 20-year tenure at Buffalo's top shelf music, the true thread through his work is a signature sense of wit, proving that no style of music is safe from him. Whether he's performing with the Blues Daddios or crafting his next solo record, Dave remains fueled by a relentless curiosity and the simple, infectious joy of the performance. It is my honor to welcome to the Flamingo Lounge, Dave Schmeidler. Dave, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so we managed to bypass some nasty Buffalo weather here, and we're doing the virtual thing today. So, but it all works. It's all good.
We have the technology.
That's right. No snow's going to get a Buffalonian down. I'll tell you that.
You got it.
We'll get into it because I live in the Tonawanda area, so I always say it's so amazing how many folks came from this neck of the woods. You know, I'm in the Kenmore West area, and just so much great talent came out of this area. But before we get into that and get all bogged down, I want to ask you my standard opening question, which is, did you have an aha moment when you said music's what I want to do?
The Beatles and Ed Sullivan.
There you go. That's a common thread.
It really is,
Yeah.
and it really was, and it's so hugely notable, the effect that it had.
Yeah. It's I was born in '64, so I kind of missed the Sullivan Show, and really kind of missed the Beatles when they were actually still recording and everything. I think they broke up when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, something like that. But certainly know of them and have heard them many times. And now, when you heard them, did you go out and get a Hofner, or did you get yourself a Gretsch or a Rickenbacker, or what'd you do?
It took until my 10th birthday to get a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I took violin for a year in school to just show my parents I was obsessed.
Right.
And did that and got a guitar on my 10th birthday, and that was it was a cheap Howard steel string acoustic guitar.
Right. Do you still have it?
No,
No. Mm.
no, it was cheap. It
Yeah.
was. I think I tried to refinish it at one point too,
Oh, okay.
just for laughs.
Mm-hmm.
It was never going to be worth anything.
Right. Just the sentimentality of it, though. Just having
True,
that first guitar, and now were you garage banding back in those days with people in school and all that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We had a great environment, and in fact, it crossed over to Kenmore West.
Mm-hmm.
So, aside from the Kenmore East people, Butch Kelson was a good friend of mine,
Right.
Dan Pagna, Mark Fassell, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
those people. We had a pretty thriving community.
Yeah.
We just get together and play.
Yeah. That's great. Were you doing like school dances and that stuff too, or were you just kind of playing and having some fun?
Oh, school dances,
Yeah.
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 I had bands. from about age 13 or 14
Wow.
and started doing the school dances. So, I wasn't a basketball player. I was the guy playing at the dance.
Mhm.
After uh, the game, I was out in the parking lot or whatever.
Yeah.
While the game was going on, I didn't really have any interest in that.
Right. Yeah.
And getting paid to be there,
Mhm. Oh,
you know.
yeah, the days, huh, when, there was probably all kinds of opportunity, I would imagine, back then for,
CYO dances,
yeah,
all the area churches. Yeah, there was a lot of that for us youngsters.
right. Now were people actually dancing, like, back then, doing swinging and all that kinda stuff, or was it more of a hang out and listen kind of a thing?
I don't remember a
Mhm.
lot of dancing.
Okay.
I
But just a good place to go and hang out though and check out the bands. And now were you guys, like, moving around a lot with and playing with different guys and all that, and this band and that band, or, "Hey, sit in with me today," that kind of a thing, or
Well, there was that kind of thing, but, most people had their
Mhm.
bands, and, it wasn't like it is nowadays where
Right.
everybody's in 6 bands at once.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that's because of, survival these days, so, to try and make some kind of bucks doing it, to play as much as you can, so
that or attention deficit.
that too. I know that's me, squirrel, so
You're not getting enough attention,
yeah.
I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's true too. So, now at the top here, I mentioned that you played alongside Billy because I know he grew up in this area, and, I know you just played with Billy at the Mob Show, this past, Christmas, so
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, my first class at Kenmore East High School was called Rudiments of Music, and I walked in there, and the back row was Ted Reinhardt,
mhm.
Billy, Bruce Bricado,
Wow,
Stuart Ziff,
wow.
who toured with War for years,
Mhm.
Mike Migliori,
Yeah,
who left high school and joined the Maynard Ferguson band,
right,
and a few other people in
right.
there. It was striking,
Wow. Yeah,
that group of talent.
yeah, a lot of Hall of Famers there.
Yeah, yeah. So I worked at endearing myself to them because
Mhm.
they were a couple years older,
Right.
and worked into that,
Mhm.
and have remained friends with those who are still with us.
Right. Yeah.
And, to it's really fun to play with Billy. It's kinda surreal.
Right. Yeah, I know I was able to, I was very fortunate, was involved with the Mob for a good 8, 9 years, before the podcast just kinda took up a lot of, room, but, my buddy and I opened for the Mob there the first few years, and,
Mhm.
played, and I said the same thing. It's like, "Man, we're playing with Billy Sheehan. This is, like, really cool." And Jesse and Bobby and everybody else that was up on stage. It's like, "Pinch us. This is, we're j my buddy and I, we're just 2 guys, that are having fun playing some music, and here we are playing with these awesome Hall of Fame level players."
Well, sometimes it's like being back in his living room on Englewood and Staring,
Mm,
and hanging out there, hanging out with Mark Freeland and
right.
all sorts of things, like going back that far. So it's
Yeah. Well, wow, he was just around the corner from me, so I'm just right off Englewood, so that's crazy, I know.
yeah, and I'm just over on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah. Well, and then another local, stalwart, Joe Hesse was in town for the Mob too. I mean, that was pretty
Yeah.
cool, see Joe, and,
Yeah, I haven't seen him in decades.
yeah, yeah. I met him when, he was in town when the Talus and the Road had, the reunion show up there at the Hard Rock, and got to meet him, and he told some great stories, and what a cool
Yeah.
guy, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, the Road, I mean, they're legendary.
They sure are.
So now, guitar is your instrument of choice?
Yes,
Yeah? And do you write stuff?
yes.
Right, okay. So now when did you start writing music? Was that still when you were, like, young in high school, or
Yeah, I think it started when I started getting confident enough to be playing in bands and
Mhm,
all, and part of it was getting a in that music class that I'm talking about, I made quick friends with a guy who was a keyboard player,
mhm,
Chris Domrey's. Had his parents had a spinet piano in the living room, and he loved jazz and was really into that.
right,
And I wanted a keyboard player for a rock band, and kind of convinced him to get a Farfisa organ
mm.
and Leslie
Yeah,
and give it a try, and started absorbing jazz
mhm,
and all of that from him.
wow,
So that really started to open my ears up in a lot of ways.
right. Well,
Um,
I know it says here you played with Gamalon, so that certainly had to, be a good influence for you to play with the Gamalon guys,
yeah,
you know? I mean, with all that, and very jazzy, very proggy, so it you can't see here, but I have lots of records, and, one of the things I was on the board of the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame for 11 years, and, I started collecting records because I wanted to collect a recording from everybody who was inducted in the Hall of Fame, if there
mm,
was one available, and, of course, now I've gone way beyond, just Hall of Famers, collecting local music, but, what was the first thing you ever were able to record? Because 'cause I'm gonna write that down because 'cause I'm gonna have to make sure that's in my collection, so
oh, the first thing I was able to record, some commercials and stuff like that, and
mhm.
there's stuff somewhere out there in the abyss that I would love to have. In station TV things when I was
Ah,
maybe 15, 16, cable TV
yeah,
shows, but a vinyl?
yeah,
Boy, I wonder if Hot Guitars from Buffalo is available on vinyl. There you go.
yeah. Oh, hot guitar. I think I may have that on CD, or maybe I have that on vinyl. I can't
I have
it's
it on CD,
yeah,
I thought.
I'm pretty sure I have that on CD, so that's, who would I can't remember who was on that one.
Who wasn't?
Yeah.
And then we did the show,
Yeah,
actually. They put on a live show, which was a that was a real kick. That was a ball.
right.
Um,
Now what about what time frame was that during? Like, was that 80s or 70s or
no, it was 90s.
90s? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely 90s. Boy, that was fun, and recording it was really fun.
right.
I
Where
just went in there and did, like, ran through the section that I was supposed to solo on 3 times,
hmm.
and we took the second one and went over to the bar.
Oh, there you go. Now where'd you record it?
At Dwayne's
Oh,
studio.
at Dwayne's studio? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's eh, gotta love a studio right next to Sportsman's, right? So,
When it's the same guy, yes.
yeah. And, nothing like, I mean, I can say I've performed there, which is I mean, to me, locally, it doesn't get much better than that. I mean, playing on that
No, it
stage, you
doesn't.
know? It's, it's like the people that have stepped on that stage and performed in that building, and you go, I played the same room, it's cool.
Yeah.
So, now have you, like, gone around and toured a lot, or have you pretty much, played locally, or
With a few different bands, like, back in the, around 76, 77, I played with a band that did a lot of playing in the Southern Tier at first,
Mhm,
and then we switched to a manager in Rochester and did a lot starting to go out Rochester and a little further,
mhm,
you know, into the state, Syracuse, Oswego. Soda's Point, um, and then later on with Stone Row with the Celtic rock.
Okay.
Uh, we did start branching out a little bit. I think we went to Hofstra University. We played there on
Wow.
a St. Patty's Day weekend.
Mhm.
I think Connecticut. We did a bunch of gigs in Canada.
Wow. Now, I grew up in Fredonia. Did you ever get down to Fredonia and play the Caboose? I know a lot of the Jesse and Billy and those people played that was where the all the Buffalo bands came to play.
When I was a senior in high school, I played in a band with Ted Reinhardt
Mhm.
and Stu Zeff and a number of others, and we played the Caboose all the time. We
Wow.
played the Zoo in Jamestown.
Yeah.
I was still in high school. There were Wednesday nights on occasion that we'd play at those places, and
Mhm.
I'd go home and go to school on
Right.
Thursday.
Yeah.
It was an interesting year for me.
Of course, back then, the drinking age was 18, so you could pretty much, get in anyways if you were I don't think
If I wasn't, which I wasn't,
right.
yeah, I think I was 17 by then.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Um,
we were all well, I wasn't just because my parents knew everybody, so there was no way I could get away with
uh,
getting into those places down there. But, uh, but I know especially I had an older brother who would, he'd rat me in, but, so
oh,
I
man.
tried to play it safe. But yeah, those were, I was starting to, I was able to get into the bars at 82, so, I remember, you know, vaguely remember back in those days, some great bands played, and, it was such a,
Yeah,
college town, and there was a lot of cool stuff happening back then.
yeah, yeah, I mean, I don't remember ever being shorter than 6 foot.
Wow.
It's I know I was at some point,
Right.
there are pictures and all, but, I never had, a problem with
Mhm.
getting into bars,
Right. Well,
um, playing at them all the time.
right. Well, unfortunately, I was 4'11" when I was a freshman, so I was getting stuffed into garbage cans by the older kids back then until I managed to, grow a little bit, but,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
those were fun days. Gonna kinda switch gears a little bit, so at the top it says, "You scored films with blenders and hair dryers." So and how did you get into scoring films? So why don't I start just with that? Like, how did you get into that, discipline?
Another person that I met in high school was, a man named Ken Rowe, who's, a filmmaker, videographer, photographer, musician, and, all around good guy.
Mhm.
And he's the one who came up with the idea of scoring, a sci-fi film
Hmm.
that was, really pretty goofy, literally flying saucers, dishes going through space and everything. And we did a soundtrack using things like a shaver to get the buzz for the ship
Mhm.
and saying, calling it the Small Appliance Orchestra.
Hmm.
And then we started to get a little more serious about it and composing music to be played along with the appliances, using the appliances for, you know, creating sounds. Back in the early days of synthesizers, you could trigger a synthesizer with a contact mic.
Okay.
Just put this contact mic on the side of a blender
Hmm.
and plug it into a modular synthesizer, and that sound would trigger the synthesizer to go and make all these insane noises.
Right.
So, we did a lot along that, and it turned into I think, six-piece band.
Hmm.
And we did a number of concerts at the Catherine Cornell Theater.
Wow.
Well, we were solicited by the David Letterman show. I think until they found out that we weren't a bunch of goofballs that were going to be hitting each other with frying pans and
Right.
stuff. Um, did a few TV spots. I think
Mhm.
Susan Hunt came and interviewed us in the ECC kitchen or
Right.
something. It
Wow.
was
Yeah.
uh, so it really had a bit of fun notoriety. We did a reunion a few years ago for it was a tribute to Gerald O'Grady
Mm,
from Media Study Buffalo, which Ken was a part of.
okay.
And the original Small Appliance Orchestra did a number of concerts there as well. And we performed at the Birchfield Penny
Hmm.
there, and that was quite fun,
Right.
quite fun.
Wow. Now,
You
was
know,
that recorded at all, or is it just kinda if you didn't see it, you missed it?
I think it's recorded.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Um, but sometimes these things just don't come to light until
Right.
years later,
Yeah.
or they get immediately lost.
That's why I try to record and publish as soon as I can, so these stories and everything don't get lost and sit on a shelf somewhere, so now, like, so what you were recording for these movies, were they in any kind of movie that anyone would know of? Or, you know, maybe within the horror genre, I would imagine, so
No,
no?
no. Yeah, there was one that for a time I think Cinemax was showing as a short
Mm,
between their movies when cable first hit the area. It was, I think, the role of rock and roll and oral hygiene,
okay.
and it was, let's see, it was drums, bass, guitar, trumpet, and a keyboard, all in a bathroom over on St. James Place.
Right.
Not all at once,
Mhm.
but it's yeah, they picked that up. He's had a number of his films shown internationally.
Mhm.
He's is presently working towards finishing his magnum opus, Mind Flip, which is a horror film.
Right. Now do you do any of that still at all, or
Only if somebody actually
okay.
asks.
It's
I did something for Christmas a couple of years ago for somebody that I used to work with,
mm,
uh, just to have a piece from a local artist on it was a charity, like a telethon kind of thing.
reason I ask is because I have a buddy who's in town, and he makes horror films. His name's Greg Lamberson, and, Armand Petrie and Joe Roser have done a bunch of music for him, and,
Mhm.
you know, didn't know if maybe you got into all that kind of funky stuff. That's, because it's funny, I had Greg on the podcast a couple of years ago, and says, "Oh, you gotta be thinking, I'm sure, about the music," and about, making the mood and getting everything all set up, and he's like, "No, not really." He's a total visual guy, he's like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the visuals," so I have other people to do that, but that's gotta be cool, though, I mean, I know there's the whole Foley artist thing where people are just making cool sounds and, bringing all that stuff to life, and, when you see the picture without any sound, it really comes to life when you have the right music and the right sound and everything behind it.
Yeah, but when you don't take it seriously is, where we were operating from.
Mm. Ah, you probably still coulda I'm sure you came up with some cool stuff though, whether it was yeah,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, more of a "What's up, Tiger Lily" discipline,
right.
that's always been a huge influence.
Mhm. Now I'm gonna switch gears again. I like to jump around a lot, so you were with Top Shelf Music for a while with Scott Fralick?
I sure was.
Yeah, yeah, good old Scott. Yeah.
I played in a band with him, um, during the Blizzard times, actually.
Mhm.
Uh, I forget how I got connected with these guys, but everybody else lived in the South Towns. I didn't get my license until I think I was 26.
Oh, wow, okay.
Um, I saved a lot of money that way.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was really at the mercy of a lot of things.
Mhm,
Um, but Scott lived out this way,
mhm,
and so I always ride with him. Then when he left the band, I ended up with everybody else being in the South Towns, like riding the bus downtown
mm,
to the Marine Drive apartments, sometimes with a suitcase and two guitars.
yeah.
Uh, that can be a humbling experience for somebody who thinks they're, going off to glory for the weekend. But yeah, I met Scott through that, and
Mhm,
spent quite a bit of time since we were, commuting together,
right.
and that was way before the store.
Mhm. Oh, okay.
And I went and worked at another store called Music Mania over on it was at Bailey and Dote,
Hmm,
and kind of hung out there and was a general, be a little bit of everything.
mm,
But
mhm,
there was a guy doing repairs there that had worked for Scott, who was another guy who had that natural ability with tools.
mhm,
Those guys just, tools are they're tools in their hands.
right,
In mine, they're a dangerous weapon that I shouldn't be allowed to
right.
handle. And I convinced Scott. Scott hired me to be a repairman at
Okay.
first. And I quickly convinced him that I was much more valuable as you know, a conduit to the community,
Mhm.
and not somebody who's, shedding blood in, in his shop.
Right.
I was definitely intimidated by things like a bandsaw
Mm,
and the belt sander.
right. Yeah. Were they, like, creating instruments then? Or, I mean, what it would seem like if you're gonna repair, you don't need, lot of major tools like that. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. I don't never been
A
able to
lot of it
really.
was restoration.
Oh, okay.
And, if you can do it, and he did for a while with a number of companies, being factory authorized service.
Ah, okay.
Um, that gets you a lot of money, that gets you a lot of connections.
Mhm,
We got, I think it was second row center seats for Dave Matthews
mhm.
at Darien one time because they needed a lap steel pickup
Ah,
from Fender, and the store wasn't open that day, but they had a drop ship to my house,
mm,
and the road manager came over to my house to pick up the ticket, or the pickup, and told me that we had tickets at the box
oh,
office.
wow. Very cool. Yeah,
Yeah. So, there was you need that stuff to be able to do, I mean, more like the vintage instruments and everything, to be able to do restoration, that takes a lot of craft.
right, yeah. I know I've mentioned it before. I've seen on CBS this morning, I think, on the Sunday program, they show the guy who fixes Trigger, Willie Nelson's guitar,
Mhm.
and he basically just keeps it together enough. He doesn't fill the hole or anything. He's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just there to make sure it stays together so he can play that." And it just I mean, the care and the detail and the craftsmanship that go into that, because obviously you just can't slap some wood in there. The tone and all that's gonna, like, just go away. So you really got to know what you're doing.
yeah, and, we shipped a lot of really, high quality instruments. That was
Right.
kinda nerve-wracking too.
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah. Wanted to get there in one piece.
Yeah.
So, but once it leaves your hands, you're at the fate of the shipper. So,
Yeah, you just had to pack in preparation.
right. Now, were you guys doing all were you just strictly on, stringed instruments, or were you doing all kinds of different instruments over there, or
Um, really guitars, basses,
Mhm,
mandolins, um, little bit of banjos,
mhm,
but he really, really, really knew guitars
mhm,
and basses and mandolins as well. And he
right.
had quite a collection of mandolins.
Hmm,
I once shipped G.E. Smith that
mhm,
uh, ran the Saturday Night Live band for all those years. He
right.
was a customer. I once shipped the wrong mandolin to him and
Oh,
had to call him and tell him that I was sending him the right one and I needed that one back,
oh,
please.
yeah, oops.
He kidded, but was very gracious
Right.
about it.
Now, I was gonna ask because it just seems I've talked with so many folks on the podcast, and like you mentioned, there's so many great folks that just grew up here in Ken East and Ken West and Joe's and in the South towns and all over. And what is it about Buffalo that just it seems like we just have this thing with music where there's just so much music and musicianship and you had Collado Manufacturing up there in Niagara Falls, and the Kent Drums were here, and there was just so many great luthiers and all that. It's like, what is it? Or is it just something that's so unique to our area?
I don't know if it's unique. I mean, it is unique. Maybe it's not. Maybe
Mhm.
other areas are as fortunate
Right.
as us. I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have an inordinate amount of fabulous talent,
Mhm.
and a lot of it concentrated in some interesting areas.
Sure.
And whether that contrasts with high power lines
Right. Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I know I recently had, Tyler Bagwell and Sally Schaefer down, and they do a lot of stuff, going back in the 1800s and stuff, and a lot of it traces back to the Irish, coming here and,
mhm.
playing down at the canal and, all the shanty songs and all that stuff, and kind of the people just kinda settled here, so I don't know if that has a lot to do with it too, and because like, so many great American songbook writers are from this area, and it's wild.
But then it's funny that people like my family settled here.
Mhm.
Um, Polish Jews,
Right,
a huge, huge community
right.
moved to Buffalo. So it was an interesting, really, truly melting pot.
Mhm.
And who knows what effect that had on everything. You know,
Well, you think, each culture brought their own music and, their own traditions. I know my wife is Polish, so we always do the Polish Vigilia at Christmas time, and, we make our pierogies, and, that's a non-negotiable thing. That has to happen on Christmas Eve. That's just something that we do, and, she's always done it, will always do it, and, my first wife was also, Polish too, and it kind of introduced me to all these traditions, and, we never really had that kind of thing, and I would always ask why, "Why are we doing this? Why, why no meat? Why all this stuff?" And it took a while because some people just were like, I can't tell you why, we just do it." So kind of, over the years, it just kind of got lost in translation that, well, it's just something that we do, but we don't know where it came from or why. So it's interesting to go back and find out, why people did what they did, and so I would have to think that translated into their music.
you know, the melodies of the Hebrew liturgy really stuck in my head,
Mm,
and always will. Always there were like really some really intense points
Right.
and just things that they did in there, transitioning from minor to major,
Mhm.
from a verse to a chorus, things like that,
Right.
and wonderful, wonderful stuff. So that had my ear tuned to those sounds right away,
Mhm.
and it was.
Now you've also done a lot of solo work. So when did you start doing some solo stuff?
I've always done little bits of it here and there, but
Mhm.
I've just been getting more comfortable with it and how to adapt to what it is that I do and how I do it, because I don't sing.
Okay.
It's best for everybody if I don't sing. I've had microphones put in front of me as more a prop than anything else
Okay.
because usually it's not on, so I'm unable to speak.
Well, that's when you let the guitar doing the speaking, right?
Exactly. Well, that's always been my forte. I just never got the singing thing
Mhm.
up and running. So as a solo player, you have to be able to sell the song
Mhm.
well enough. And as a self-critical kind of person, I started getting more comfortable with it, and then had a couple of chances over the summer to do some like last minute gigs where I didn't have enough time to over prepare myself or completely lose my mind.
Mhm. No, and then another thing, it's, because I know I met you for the first time when you were inducted in the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame, which I
Hmm.
think was, what, 2017? That was close to the end of my tenure with the
Yeah,
with the Hall of Fame, but, that had to be quite the honor, I would think, to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, and
it was great.
yeah,
It was great. Truly the high point to me was my mother being there.
uh, yeah,
A little bit of a showing her of what she suffered for all those. She didn't
yeah,
suffer.
right, yeah,
She didn't suffer. She was very good to me,
mhm,
and not harsh,
right,
because I didn't want to be the regular kid and work the regular job and all
mhm,
that.
yeah. Well, I have to imagine too, I mean, all of us, with kids when they're learning an instrument, it's like, "Will you turn that down?" As you're
Yes.
as you're trying to figure everything out, my son did the same thing, he's a guitar player, and I tried playing drums, it never worked out for me, but, I'm the opposite, I can't play, but I can sing,
Mhm.
you know, and would drive my older brother nuts because 'cause I'd just be singing all the time and humming, and we shared a bedroom, he's like, "Will you shut up?"
'Cause you don't have to drag around an instrument, it's right in you.
Exactly, and it
Yeah,
was and it
yeah.
was all I was always and my mother'd say, "Would you just leave him alone?" He's happy, he's having fun, just he's like, "He's driving me nuts." God bless him, but he was always there, and I know he at one point, was hoping to learn to play banjo. I think he would have liked to be a country guy. He really liked his country rock stuff, but, just never really got into it, so it's, now, and again, as I mentioned, jump around. So when you were younger, was there a lot of music around your house, or was that just something that you kind of came up with on, that was just you?
It was just me. I mean, the radio was on
Mhm.
a lot in the house. And so, I remember certain songs on the radio and whatever, and I'd try and steer the television. It usually didn't take too much to be able to put on like the young person's concerts with Leonard Bernstein,
Mhm.
things like that, to say, could we turn on the TV to have this on? But it wasn't, my parents were not musical.
Right.
My sister isn't really musical.
Mhm.
It's for whatever reason, it struck me.
Right.
It hit me hard, Greg. It hit me hard.
It's now, was there any one particular artist or genre that kinda hit you? Like me, I love rockabilly. I mean, the twang of a rockabilly guitar just
Mhm.
gets me.
It started coming at me from so many directions, um, because I started hearing, like, "Are You Experienced?"
Mm,
"Strange Days," um, I was given Electric Ladyland, and I believe it was a Segovia record for my bar mitzvah
mm,
when I was 13.
mhm. Wow.
Um, so I had a lot of Fresh Cream. That was the one I was trying to think of. What was it? Fresh Cream was another one of
Hmm,
the first records that I
right.
had. So it was all of those things. I loved the sound of the guitar.
Mhm.
And I immediately, like a lot of my peers, recognized the social phenomena involved in playing music.
Right, yeah.
Um, but the music itself just it grabbed me. I felt it. So
Mhm. Now
it
now do you remember who the first person was, like, of some fame that you got to see play live here in Buffalo? Like your first concert or
my first concert was Vanilla Fudge at Melody Fair.
Mm,
The Mellow Brick Road opened.
yeah. Wow.
Later, when I went to the Guitar Institute, Tim Bogart was a teacher there, the
Mhm.
bass player for Fudge.
Hmm.
So I got to tell him,
Yeah.
"You were my first concert."
Wow. Yeah, back then it was probably what, 2 bucks? You
Yeah,
know?
probably.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy to think of the bills back then that, some of the bands were on and, and then I know I've heard so many stories like, I, Tom Lorenz told me a story one time. His band, they opened for Bob Seger. I can't remember where in town, and maybe 20 people were there. And he
Yeah,
says 6 months later, Bob Seger's playing arenas. It's just it's those days I think were a lot of fun. Where people were just always touring and always hitting concerts, and we always had great concerts back then too. So.
and really bizarre, and diverse bills.
Hmm.
Um, the Jay Giles band, saw them with Yes.
Yeah.
Um, wasn't into Jay Giles at the time.
Right.
I know what I missed now, um, but that was right when Fragile came out,
Mm, okay.
and Yes was awesome.
Right.
They were put together a couple times. Aerosmith opening for the Mahavishnu Orchestra
Wow.
at the Century Theater,
Yeah. Wow. That's a crazy bill.
and that crazy was the word for
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it. Yeah,
I remember all the stadium shows. Back then there was quite a lot. My first one was the Who with the Clash and David Johansen. I mean,
I think I gave up on going to the stadium shows after I think it was Yes,
mm,
the Relayer show, and I just saw the gross mess of humanity as the
yeah.
show was emptying out.
Yeah.
It was really disappointing,
Hmm.
and there was a lot about the experience of that was Jay Giles opening that one as well, because
Hmm.
that was the one where Peter Wolf was dancing around with the big foam guitar.
Oh.
Who else? Man, Johnny Winter or somebody else played that day.
Hmm.
I only went to a couple of those stadium ones. I went to so many of the Century Theater shows.
Hmm.
UB had concerts.
Yeah.
I saw Buddy Guy with Junior Wells twice
Wow. Yeah.
in the Fillmore Room at UB. Lou Reed in there.
Hmm.
Um, Hunter Thompson spoke in
Wow.
there. McCoy Tyner, Weather Report, the very first Weather Report.
Hmm. Wow. That's
Yeah.
yeah, it's and seeing a show in a small I mean as I get older too, I love to see a small venue where you're really there with the artist and
Mhm.
maybe a couple hundred folks can fit in the place. I just like that atmosphere and that vibe. Especially that's why I like sportsmen because the artists are right there with you. It's
Yeah.
almost like a living room setting. You're just there and they are just so willing to step off the stage and talk to you and we but years ago we saw me being the rockabilly guy, we saw Wanda Jackson playing in Sportsman's
Mhm.
we walked there. She just talked to us like we were old buds and it was uh it was crazy. It's like, wow, this is like rockabilly royalty here, just kind of hanging out at Sportsman's. It was wild.
The best of those people are that way.
Mhm.
That's how they get that way. That's how
Right.
they stay that way.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, look at me. I mean, that was 2010, so 16 years ago. I still have that memory,
Mhm.
and that it stays with you. I think we all remember those great memories of shows, and that we've been able to go see and, people and that have just brought something to it that was a little bit above and beyond, a regular old show because we certainly do remember the ones that are clunkers, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've certainly had a couple that are like, man, that person just they phoned it in. You could tell they didn't want to be there, and they, they're doing their hour and a half and see ya.
Mhm.
But no, also too, because I'm reading, I'm looking at your bio here from the Music Hall of Fame. You went to the Musicians Institute in Hollywood, California.
Yes.
What brought you to there?
Being almost 30 years old and wanting to go dip myself into the pool with the sharks to
Hmm.
see if I could swim.
Hmm.
And so I'd already had 20 years of experience.
Right.
And it was an absolutely glorious experience to be there. And actually, last September, my wife and I went on a little road trip in the Southwest. And I was able to reunite with two of my classmates,
Hmm.
which was 38 years ago.
Wow.
And it was great. It was
Yeah.
great. Very, very cool. A lot of memories in a year there. It's just like bury yourself in guitar,
Right.
and try and network your life away too,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a place where you can grab
Sure.
gas ring. The opportunities do pop up.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it had some benefits that you were a little older to do that as opposed to like when you're out of high school or, in your late teens, early 20s to
Yes.
learn?
Yeah, because I quickly understood a lot of the social pitfalls out there,
Mm,
and there are really bad crowds that you
mm,
can fall in with.
sure.
And so there's that, and there were other classmates who physically harmed themselves by
Mhm.
practicing too hard.
Oh, wow.
This was the shred era where everybody was trying to play fast.
Right.
And Paul Gilbert was, our little model there. He wasn't really exposed to the world at all like he is now.
Mhm.
And so everybody wanted to play that fast. And, Paul has just a natural ability that as we speak and hear and understand each other's words, his fingers can play faster than you can see.
Wow.
It's just
Yeah.
So you have to accept that, and if you keep practicing thinking that you can make yourself do that, you can physically harm yourself.
Mhm.
And we had people have to drop out
Wow.
'cause they gave themselves carpal tunnel.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
yeah.
really seriously, it's
Yeah. I've never heard that. That's amazing. So, but you can also go too hard.
yeah,
You know? And,
yeah,
my first things were like, just, drugs and stuff like that, but just, in playing, I can see that.
mhm,
And, you know, I mean, I know, going back to Scott being upright bass, I mean, you gotta get those calluses and everything on the hands before you can
yeah,
do it. But I can imagine that's, if you go too far, man, you rip your hands to shreds.
yeah, yeah, that was another thing, but the injuries, the wrist injuries
Mhm. Hmm.
and, and all were just that it was unnecessary,
Right.
but it was also hard not to. You wanted to play all the time. My
Right.
god. Yeah, really inspiring,
Mhm.
really inspiring.
Now, is there a specific genre of music that you really are like, "I like to play this type of music"?
No.
No?
Yeah.
Music.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of, look at it that way. That's, the Whale Dogs, my band there, we just kind of play with that intent
Mhm.
that, we're trying to make some great music. It could be based from a jazz tune or a
Right.
Beatles tune
Mhm.
or a Stevie Wonder tune, but it's going to just kind of go where it leads itself.
Right. Now le now let me ask you, because 'cause we're actually getting close to the top of the hour here, so what are you up to, like, today? Like, what's the latest project that you got on your plate that you're working on?
Um, I have my little studio here, which, wow, I really look kind of crazy in here. Is right behind me, and I'm doing some tracks for a couple of friends
Mhm.
in there, but I keep getting stalled because I keep writing more myself.
Mm.
So I do have something that'll eventually leak out of there, and that's probably what I'll be doing. Tomorrow night, I'll be part of the house band at a jam at the screening room,
Mm, okay.
excuse me, from 7 till 10. Before we start, we're doing a presentation of the big check for, I put together a raffle for a guitar
Okay.
to benefit hospice.
Mm. Oh, nice. Yeah.
And we raised $1,000 this year, and we're doing that little presentation and all.
Oh,
That's
nice. Yeah.
so that yeah, that's today and tomorrow,
Mhm.
and then the 21st, the Whale Dogs play at Penny Lane
Ah, okay.
out in Clarence.
Yeah. Yeah, nice to see them back and rocking, so,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, it is, and yeah, because they've always been receptive to us.
Mhm.
We played after the Bills game last Saturday.
Oh, nice. Had a lot of towels, I would imagine.
Uh,
Uh,
it was interesting. The crowd was down at the other end of the room
mm,
by the TVs,
right.
even for the 8 o'clock game.
Hmm.
But we still made enough money to, you know, basically made gas money on it,
Well, there you
and
go.
we got to play and
Mhm.
get to do a little rehearsal there, low pressure.
Right.
They clapped at the ends of the songs.
Well, that's good. I did a gig one time where no one clapped, no one where
Mhm.
it was a retirement party for a guy, and I mean, literally nobody even, like, we felt like no one even knew we were there. And we do covers, Simon and Garfunkel and Everly Brothers, and my buddy starts playing Sounds of Silence, and you would think at least someone would be like, "Oh, I like that song." It was just nothing,
Mhm.
absolutely nothing, and I'm like, "Man, that was the worst
Cold.
That was the worst. I said, "Man, what is this, an audience or an oil painting? This is crazy." So, well, Dave, like I said, we're at the top of the hour, and I can't thank you enough for sharing your stories and taking a trip down memory lane with me. And it's been great. So hopefully I'll get to see you out some point. I don't get out of the basement here that much, so doing this podcast thing, but
Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll do it again. I'd like to physically be hanging in the lounge. I
oh,
think that,
oh yeah, yeah. It's I'm always here, so it's always welcome. The invitation is always there for you, so I look forward to it. And but for everyone who's tuned in, again, thanks for tuning in, and hope you've enjoyed the hour here just as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. And as always, you can find the podcast where you get your podcasts at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Audible, YouTube, thebuffalohive.com, and of course, you can always find the podcast at rockabillygreg.com, where it's all about the music. And hopefully I'll have some links where you can find where Dave's playing and where his band is playing next, and you keep up to date. We'll have a link to his Buffalo Music Hall of Fame page there, so you can get a little bit more information. And hopefully maybe you'll be back with the mob next year, playing some shows. And so for everybody who's tuned in, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye. In the Flamingo Lounge is made possible in part by CatsLikeUs.com, your online store for authentic vintage clothing and accessories. Buffalo Ironworks, an intimate live music venue and bar located in the Cobblestone District in downtown Buffalo. And by Diamond Hawk Golf Course and Pub, Western New York's premier golf course, restaurant, and banquet facility. At the Hawk, the bar is hopping year-round with live music every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And some other nights, too. Tune in for a new episode every Saturday at 9 a.m. EST at rockabillygreg.com, where it's all about the music. Bark, Zoe, bark. Good girl.